What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing, just basically the typical 1500 rating draw. So, as you can tell from the title, this game ended in a draw, but I still thought it was pretty interesting. So, yeah, let's just do this. Remember, if you guys like these videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel, as it does help out a lot. So, we start with a Stratford's Gambit. Now, he's not really supposed to do this, right? The best move is basically just to take my knight and then trade knights because you damage my pawn structure. And if you just go back, right? So if you just go back, well, I'm just gonna pick up his pawn, which I do in the next move. And then basically I just have a huge lead in development, right? Because I have two knights out, and you don't only have one. So, we're just playing some, natural developing moves. I have to jump my knight back because it's getting targeted, and then we just both castle, and then he brings his knight out. So I'm just like, trying to develop, trying to get my bishop out here. I try and I do pin his knight, and then he kicks me out, and then I fall back. And then here we have this move again. He's trying to get his bishop out to the center. Now this is not the best bishop move because he's blocking in his rook, which had an open lane like just a move before, and he's locking in his bishop. Like, what is this bishop doing behind this pawn? So yeah, not really the best bishop move. I bring my rook to the center. He brings his knight, offering a trade. I do trade with him, and then we trade pieces. And then now I play knight out all the way here to a5. Now, this is apparently a losing mistake, which makes the eval go from minus, just basically an even game, minus 0.11 to plus 3.11. So yeah, apparently what I should do, because obviously I don't want to trade my knight and ruin the structure. So apparently what I should do is just push the pawn forward, right? So I should just push the pawn forward, which will make his bishop, have to go commit to another square, right? So let's just say like f5, and then I'm just like, I'm pretty good here. So yeah, that's like what I was supposed to do. Did I do that? No. And then his bishop's just out in like no man's land. I can like move my bishop here to get my queen out and start attacking his bishop, and eventually it's gonna have to go back, right? But no, I didn't do that. I moved my knight, my knight all the way out here to no man's land. Now my idea was that I just protect the pawn and everything will be fine. My knight's no longer in danger. He brings his bishop back, which is again another mistake. Wait, okay, so the computer's giving some wild move like bishop takes pawn, because after king takes, then he can jump in with his knight, I'm pretty sure. And then if I take, and then take, wait, this is really weird. Oh, jeez, oh god. Okay, no, after I take his knight, then he comes in with a queen. Oh, not that queen check. Queen takes my bishop, right? So he takes my bishop, and then now I have to go back, yeah, and then he just takes, right? He just takes this, and then he's actually winning. So yeah, apparently that bishop sacrifice was the way to go. He did not do that, however, and moved his bishop back, probably because he didn't want to be a target in the center. I don't know why he played it. I'm just like guessing why he played it, but it is a mistake. So I play b6, trying to build for c5 with my pawn, because I don't really like his pawn in the center there. I want to get it out of there. Again, another mistake. So then he attacks my knight. I bring my knight back, And then he brings his bishop back to unpin his knight. And here I strike. I mean, I guess not in the center, but like a little bit to the right. But basically, I just want to get rid of his pawn. But I mean, this is pretty bad for him. I'm pretty sure taking with his other pawn is actually better. I mean, I guess not, but I mean, if he takes like this, he's creating an isolated pawn out here, which is not really what you want. So I take back, and then he pushes his pawn, you know, protecting the pawn that he has in the center, trying to keep everything together. So I move my bishop here, attacking that pawn. He moves his queen up. You know, I'm not really too sure what the point of this move is. I guess he wanted his queen on a more active space or a more active square, connecting his rook, and then also, I guess his queen's no longer on the same diagonal as my bishop. So I just bring my bishop back, attacking the queen. He slides it back one, and then here I just I take the pawn, and then he takes back with the knight, which was fairly interesting. I mean, I did calculate him taking back with the knight, but I thought it was like just better to take back with the pawn. And it is better to take back with the pawn. So yeah, let's do this. Let's go. Okay, so he moves his bishop here, attacking my knight. My knight jumps to the center. And then he just moves his bishop back. So like really what happened was he moved his bishop, helped me develop my knight some more, and then moved it back. So basically the only thing that's changed is my knight is more in the game. So yeah, that wasn't really too good by him, and then the valuation goes to -4 after that move. The bishop back to e2. Now I blunder here and give the advantage all the way back to him. So now it's plus 1.2. But like, I mean, my idea was right. I want to connect my rooks because like this looks pretty dumb, you know, having the rook and then the queen and then the rook. But obviously he has this move to punish me for having my rook and my queen on the same diagonal, and I have no way to get out of this. Now, apparently I made a mistake in the next move. What I'm supposed to do is just go right here. And then after bishop takes, right? So let's just say bishop takes. And then I just take back with the queen, and then I mean, he's still like +1, but it's fine. You know, it's a fine position, but like I've been down more than +1 before. Instead, I move my queen to the right. This was like really all my idea to start for moving my queen up because my queen really can't be attacked on this square, and also like it's occupying this really good diagonal. He obviously takes my rook, and then I take his bishop. Here he brought his knight into the game. I also move my knight, and then he makes a. I mean, it's a pretty bad move. So he plays queen here to b2. Now this is like you're just asking for trouble when you're lining up your queen with your rook with this pawn on this diagonal. So yeah, that's not really too good. Now I move my queen here. You know, like I didn't really like I really wasn't thinking too well. I mean, like my idea was that like I need to move this knight, right? Because I want to take there on c3. So I need to move the knight, but I didn't realize that the knight was actually just protected by the queen. And then I still wanted to move my queen to keep it in a square where it's protecting my my a pawn. So that's my rationale, but it doesn't really make too much sense. Fortunately, his next move also doesn't make too much sense and apparently is a mistake. And after this, I can move my rook over and attack his pawn, and he really just can't do anything about it. So he moves his rook, trying to set up a discovered attack. So obviously, I just move my queen out of the way, and then he moves his knight back, and then here he blunders back the rook that I took earlier, and I can just take here, which I do. And right now I'm just like up a pawn. I'm just up a pawn, so I take his I take his rook, and then we do the same trade, rook for bishop trade that happened earlier on in the game. Okay, I slide my queen over because I don't really like that it's on the same line as the rook, even though there's no danger right now. There might be danger later, after he moves his bishop, then my knight is pinned to my queen, which I don't really like. But he just he just follows me onto this file, so I move my queen out and get it off the back rank for one. So he moves his bishop, attacking my queen, and then I slide my queen over, getting out of the attack. I guess it's an attack. He brings his knight in. I move my queen, and then he just takes, and then I take. So basically, we just trade bishop for knight. So now I have a knight, and he has a bishop, but I still have an extra pawn. So yeah, the endgame is like slightly winning for me, even though he does have the bishop. Okay, so how are we gonna convert, right? So here he's let me just threatening a queen trade now. I could go here, but I feel like my queen's pretty stupid here, and also, oh wait, no, I actually can't go there. I have to take because he's throwing some back rank problems. Yeah, so I don't think there's another move. I definitely have to take. And then he takes my queen. Obviously, it's a queen trade. You gotta trade the queens. And here, I move my pawn, trying to give myself, some breathing room for my king. And then he moves his rook back onto the first rank. I don't know why he did that. Maybe he was afraid of this check. This check, even though there's nothing there, because the bishop blocks it. So yeah, I'm not too sure. So I infiltrate with my rook, move to the second rank. He plays a4, trying to just not lose his pawn. So I play rook c4. My idea is he's probably gonna play this move, right, and paralyze his rook, and he does play that move. So now I'm in a pretty good situation, right? Because I mean, his rook's just immobile. So I bring my knight in, attack the bishop. He for some reason just pushes the pawn. So I just take his bishop because I don't want to be in a knight versus bishop endgame. I'd much rather be in a rook versus rook endgame with no knight and bishop, because obviously the knights are worse than the bishops. And then he takes back here. So now apparently this is a really bad mistake. Obviously he's damaging his pawn structure, and then we're gonna trade these pawns eventually. Now what he should have done was just take my pawn, and then if I take back, right? So if I take back, then you take here. Because there's just some tactics here, and then if he takes, so if he takes first, then I really just can't do anything except for take back. Otherwise, he's gonna make a queen or something. But he took my knight, so yeah, that didn't happen. And then I moved my rook, trying to attack his pawn. He takes, and then I take, and plays rook b1, trying to attack my pawn. So here, I could do something and keep it at a -2 endgame. Instead, I take his pawn and blunder a draw. Let's go. The reason it's a draw is because 3-on-2, I'm never going to get crossed, especially with rooks, because they are isolated pawns. They are together, and I don't have a single passed pawn after this. So yeah, that's not really too good. So here I bring my king, he brings his rook, obviously trying to attack my pawn. I move my pawn up. He moved his rook, trying to attack my pawn again. I obviously just moved my king up. And then he slides his rook away. So here, this is just pretty standard. So I block his check, and then after he goes up, then I push my pawn. So here I have, 3 pawns on the same rank. This is pretty powerful when there's no pieces and just pawns, and I guess a rook left. Also, there's no checks on my king, which is really good. So after this, we trade outside pawns. It's still a drawn endgame, by the way, and he just moves his king back. So here I move my rook up, which is not really too good because it just allows a check, and then it forces my king to go over here. He moves his rook all the way down. So I was thinking, you know, my whole idea was just doing this, right? But then after check, and then like check, and then check, and then, you know, we move, and then he can just take it, and then I'm screwed. So yeah, we can't do that. So I can't push up my pawn. So I move my rook back in order to block his check. But then he just slides his rook over and just prevents me again from playing f4. So like, I mean, I really want to play f4. So so you slide the rook, and then I just like get my rook out of there, and then here we go. He checks my my king, and then basically what's happening here is that I'm just moving my king to the other side because there's more space there, right? So here he played a rook h8. Now I think this should have been my time to play f4 because after takes, you know, even if it's still a draw, after takes, even if it's still a draw, at least I have the pawn, I have the passed pawn, and it's still a draw, but I mean, there is opportunity for counterplay here, right, if he messes up, but I didn't do that. I did not do that. So, anyways, I mean, we're both really low on time, as you can see. We both have like 40 seconds left. So, I just move my rook to a6, and then just like, you know, try to infiltrate with my rook. Maybe even pick up this pawn if you know he blunders, but he just checks me, and I have to go right back. And then here, I mean, we're just repeating moves at this point. And then yeah, it ends in a draw by repetition. So, yeah, that was an interesting game. I mean, I guess I could have flagged him, but I really didn't like. I don't really believe in my endgame skills. My endgame skills are maybe some of the worst 1500 endgame skills ever. Like, so yeah, I just took the draw because I didn't think that I could win this. So, anyways, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you guys did, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel as it does help out a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Too easy.